all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Bros Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gainett Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gainett Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gainett Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainettTrucking.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Harrison runs the ones and twos. As always, come Ticket Weeknights. I got Tristan Gomes joining me for this hour, 402-464-5685. That is the Starter Heyman text line. If you guys want to join in, put a face to the voice or the Ticket app. If you're listening right now, that means you found one of the two. But if you want to see the video, Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo Cable. If you got an Allo Channel 961, and of course, download that Ticket app. That'll come in handy. We got plenty of college football, NFL football, Royals baseball. All those guys are going to be taking over on the FM airwaves at times. So if you want to continue listening to Ticket content, that Ticket app comes in nicely. Royals are currently down. They were up, now down at the top of the fifth inning, 2-4 versus the Atlanta Braves. Again, Royals 52-54, a couple games behind 500, and the Atlanta Braves 44 in 60. With all that out of the way, we got Tristan Gomes in here. And Tristan, how was the break? I asked Jeffrey the same thing, because big time media days, nice time, take a little hiatus. Anything during that time that cut you off here that you wanted to talk about that you haven't had an opportunity to yet?
I don't think so. I think it was just cool kind of seeing, I did a little bit more research on just other teams and how their fan bases, I guess, were responding to the Big Ten media days. It was pretty interesting. A lot of Penn State fans are almost, I don't want to say excited, but it almost seemed like they're like, they better do it. Like they better go win. Like less like they know they have a great team, but now it's like, we better go to work. Like we don't care about how we know we're good. So let's actually prove it. But it was cool just seeing some other fan bases and just how they were reacting to the media days.
That's gotta be the worst spot to be in, is Penn State. You've never done it, and you're expected to do it this year now more than ever, even though your entire history says you can't.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on James Franklin. And we went through the coach's seat already, and where did we, or the coach's index? Where do you think, where did we land on him for Penn State, James Franklin?
I think we were at the, I don't think we were at anywhere near like they need to part ways or anything, but I was like, we like you, but when are you going to win the big game?
Yeah.
Because it's been years and years, and the record really shows that those top 10 matchups do not go in his favor often.
No, and then if you fire him, you look like the biggest idiot.
Yeah.
If you don't win 9 games, which is a pretty tough number to get to. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I haven't had the opportunity to. I'll real quick ask you, just on volleyball, since that one's coming up right around the corner. Me and Jeffrey talked about it a little bit, but big volleyball days. We'll just broad picture this stuff. Any concerns with Bus Boom Kelly from Louisville? I think we all know she's a good coach. Her resume says she's a good coach, but transitioning Louisville to Nebraska, do you think it's going to be a little bit of friction before everyone's kind of on the same page, or do you think her connection being coached by John Cook before that she should be able to plug in pretty smoothly, and that even early season we shouldn't see a whole lot of hiccups?
I think she's going to know the vibe of Nebraska volleyball. I know we kind of talked about this with Iowa when we talked to Iowa head coach, but when you bring someone in that kind of knows the program, they know, the culture that's been there, it makes it so much easier. It's not like she's coming in, bringing in her own thing from Louisville. She knows, how John Cook was, and she knows a lot of the, players on the team before she even got here, just playing against Nebraska at Louisville. So I think she's going to do a really good job. And, there might be a few little differences between her and John, but I think for the most part, she's going to understand, how to win, especially at Louisville. She was winning there. She knows what winning is like as a head coach, and she has some great accolades. So I think she's going to do a really good job. And I don't think the standard is going to change at all for Nebraska volleyball.
Yeah. I mean, I think they got swept by Penn State too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then obviously we all know how it went for Nebraska. So we lost. John Cook and her lost to that same team, Penn State. I mean, that's going to be the goal. It's going to be Nebraska versus Penn State until Nebraska proves that maybe this transition is harder than they anticipated. I think it's going to be a pretty smooth transition, though. You got a ton of veteran leadership coming back, and I was listening to Jeffrey. He was thinking the floor was Sweet 16, and obviously talking postseason playoffs. What do you think the floor is for Bus Boom Kelly? Because they're in such a different stratosphere. Like I don't even mean this in a tongue-in-cheek way, but it's like you talk about what's the floor for Nebraska, and it's like we scoff at the idea of like, if your floor is a national championship, you're insane.
Yeah.
If or perfect regular season. With Bus Boom Kelly, even though it's year one, the expectations are so high still, and rightfully so. What's the floor and what's the ceiling?
I think ceiling's national championship.
Okay,
I think
that's the easy one.
That's the easy one for sure. Sweet 16, I think maybe is a generous floor. Like, I think people are like, all right, it is a new, head coach. Things are going to be a little bit different. Did lose a few key players, but I think it's Nebraska volleyball. Like, we're expecting almost the Final Four at least every year. And so I'm going to go almost the floor is, the Elite Eight. I think the Sweet 16 might be a little bit early, just winning one game in the tournament, and after that bounced. I don't think that's, fits very well with Nebraska volleyball. So I think almost the Elite Eight is maybe the floor, or maybe not the floor, but what a successful season would be. I think Sweet 16 could be the floor, but for it to be, a Nebraska volleyball caliber season with a new head coach, I think the Elite Eight makes sense.
Yeah, I think I had the same thing. I think the floor is the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, we'll see if they get some bad seeding in there. Like now, the floor shifts a little bit because like, okay, maybe this team again talk about it, there's more friction than we anticipated. But I mean, if they take care of the regular season, which I expect them to do, they'll get a good seed. If they get a good seed, they've proven pretty consistently, and a lot of those players are still there, going to be coming back. Obviously, you miss arguably the best libero in college volleyball history. You're going to have to fill that void. But I was listening to Jeffrey, not as important of a role in Busboom Kelly's offense. John Cook, very old school, heavy on the defense and making sure that Libero had to cover a lot of ground. So I think that's obviously going to be missed, but not nearly as a big deal if you're going into another year with John Cook. Not to say that John Cook wouldn't be able to solve it, figure it out, but there wouldn't be such a big void because that Libero role has so much importance in John Cook's role. But we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, how much different is the Busboom Kelly offense? Like, she's just kind of plug into what John Cook was doing because it has worked, and that's what the players know. Or to Jeffrey's point, what she's did at Louisville, even as assistant coach at Tennessee, does she speed things up here? It's going to be fun. I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those teams that we can talk about the University of Nebraska where we're talking about the floor being the Elite Eight. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty good squad to root for and gives you a lot of optimism. Shout out to Nick Sainert. He's out there, Big Ten volleyball days. I was going to say Big Ten football media days, but Big Ten volleyball media days. You guys go give him a follow on Twitter, Nick Sainert. I think it's just straight up Nick Sainert. If you guys want to check him out, he's posted stuff, had a good one-on-one interview with Rebecca Alec as well. Got anything left to add on Husker volleyball before we move off?
No, I'm excited. It's pretty cool to have, a university that has, a sport that is so dominant.
Yeah.
I know we kind of joked around with like, oh, what kind of school is Rutgers? And like, you can't really think of a sport that they just totally dominate in. So it's pretty cool to have, a team like that where you can pretty much always expect success out of them. So I'm excited for the season. I feel like it's always fun to watch, especially when you kind of just see them playing those bigger Big Ten opponents and, even just dominating those ones. So I'm excited to watch some Nebraska volleyball this upcoming fall.
Growing up, did you watch volleyball at all?
I did. I watched a little bit. I think my mom was always just, like Nebraska volleyball's on, we're watching it. So that was kind of the main thing. And then I've gone to like 2 or 3 of the Supernova games, which are actually very entertaining. And it's so impressive just what they can do and how athletic they are. So it's always fun to watch. And especially when you're watching a team that you're rooting for, it makes it so much more enjoyable. So Nebraska has always kind of just been like in our family, like, oh, Nebraska volleyball's on, we're watching.
See, it took me a while to catch in. Like, I remember I was like dating this girl like way back in the time, and I came over and her dad was like watching volleyball. Yeah. And I'll be honest, like I wasn't a redneck, but you could argue I had like a redneck mind coming small town Midwest. Being like, why are we watching? We should watch football. And he's watching, and he always watched Husker volleyball. And then pretty soon you start watching it. You're like, this is pretty good. Yeah. You realize how freakishly athletic they are. And then, high school volleyball, there's some really good teams. When you're watching it's just like watching smaller football schools. You're not always going to see the best version of the product. You go jump to like, especially when you're watching Nebraska volleyball and how good they were and the fans behind it. And now the league as a whole is much better to watch. But back then you really were, if you weren't watching Husker volleyball, there wasn't a whole lot of games you'd watch where it had that same atmosphere. It felt like watching a lot of COVID games where people are playing, but there's no crowd atmosphere to make it super exciting. And then you go look at Bob Devaney, the place is sold out, it's electric, and you're watching a really good volleyball team. So I'm always curious about that because it just feels like the growth of the league. Like for me, when I was younger, I caught it and it was just Nebraska. You could maybe sprinkle in a few others, and now it's Oregon, Pitt, Nebraska, Wisconsin. You can keep going on the list, and there's just more and more teams filling up arenas, which is great to see. But that's all I got on Husker volleyball. Again, if you guys want to join back in, anything we missed, 402-464-5685. But I do want to talk about some Husker football here. First things first, Matt Rule, he has been talking a lot about that defensive line, and I know we kind of hinted on it, but to you, how confident are you in buying into the coach speak that this defensive line is even better than what last year's was, or at least energy-wise, verbatim, Matt Rule's saying these guys are going to essentially catch the eyes of the rest of the country.
Yeah, I listened to his interview today, and he made a great point that it is tough to fill that void of Ty Robinson. He's preached plenty of times that Ty Robinson didn't get the credit in the draft that he deserved, and you've heard a whole bunch from Philadelphia just saying how dominant he's been and how he's been lighting up that all their practices and everything. So that is a tough void to fill. But what he's kind of said is just that maybe these players are slowly learning, like, all right, like we can almost become maybe not Ty Robinson, but as a group, like they can fill that void as one. And so I think if he just continues to instill that confidence in them, then they're going to be, good. I think my one worry, with the coach talk is he's not going to go into that, presser and just say like, oh yeah, there's a lot of work to need to be done there. But I'm also curious if he's just trying to instill that confidence into those guys so they realize, like, maybe we can be this good. Maybe we can be better than the D line was last year. And so I think if he continues to do that and those guys in the locker room believe it, then once Saturday comes, we might just see that.
Yes, and I agree 100%. I never know how to take those interviews because I don't think he's blowing smoke, but at the same time, I know he's never going to be like, this year's going to be worse. We're just going to have to get through it this year.
Yeah, we're screwed.
Like, like what an insane answer. Even if it's like, yeah, it's about the same as what, like, you're always going to say, yeah, these guys are really good. They're getting better and better. Obviously, it's fall camp officially. We'll talk about that as well. But speaking of some of the guys that are going to have to speak up, or we talk defensive line as a whole, here's Matt Rule talking about Gunnar Gatula, another player who certainly he's going to have to fill some voids here at Nebraska. So here's Matt Rule on Gatula.
He's he looks great. I mean, I saw him in the hallway. I mean, just his mass, size, strength, all of that. One of the unique things about when you get injured like that, it's such a lonely time, right? Like, you go from like being out there and playing to all of a sudden now you're walking around with your arm like this, or you tear your ACL, or tear your knee. You're crutching around. Like, people have to help you get your lunch. They have to carry your tray for you. People have to, help you get to class. I mean, it just becomes a really, honestly, like, lonely time. I always feel like players, when they go through that, if they get to the other side of it, they're so much more mentally tough. They're actually so much sometimes more physically developed, because while other guys are practicing, they're still lifting, they're still doing all these things. They're working on all these little other muscles that maybe they hadn't worked before, and they truly learn what process is. Like, when you go from like, hey, I just need to squeeze a ball, and if I can squeeze the ball, like, that's a good first day, or I have to do a leg raise and move my foot like 1 inch. Instead of like thinking everything happens at once, you start to learn like life's about small steps and like, gradual improvement. So I've been really impressed with Gunnar's demeanor. I love the way he looks. I mean, like I said, I love the way he looks right now. Like, I want to walk through the hallways and like be a little bit physically intimidated by our line when I see them. That's how it's supposed to look. And so, and not their height, but their girth, like their width this way and their width this way. And so he looks really good. And as I said, one of the great things about Gunnar is he's such a smart kid that he can play up and down the line. So I think we'll have a really good camp in terms of, all of that competition.
So you have it switched on the other side of the ball there. Offensive line is the other big one. I feel better about that, mainly because of the transfers.
Yeah.
And then you heard Matt Rule talk about, obviously, Gunnar Gatula. I think people forget how injury-ridden he was for a while there. So getting back fully healthy, I don't think any of us fully know what he looks like. At this point in his career, where he's got the physical, like, he's built his body up to it, and now he can be fully healthy for it. Excited about him in particular, but then just the offensive line as a whole. Where are you at in terms of that group's success? You got your clear back, Emmett Johnson, Quentin Ives, probably at 2-3. I think it's a mixed bag at that point. Who we'll see out there. But do you trust a solid offensive line, knowing that you're going to have a couple transfers out there, being main guys out on it? Spindler, I'm blanking on his name. Spindler and Alabama transfer.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Spindler, and I don't want to look it up. It'll come to me. If you guys beat me to it, feel free. 402-464-5685. But on the offensive line,
yeah,
your thoughts?
I'm excited. I think very similar to the defensive line. Last year, the defensive line was great, but now there are kind of some questions. And then same thing for the offensive line. I think the offensive line, not up to Nebraska standard last season, but I think it's, slowly improving. But I also think that's a group that looks back and goes, we can be way better, especially with the new transfers coming in. I think they're going to take a lot more pride in, like, we can be really good this year.
Pritchett.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah, I had to Elijah Pritchett out of Alabama. So Spindler, Notre Dame, Pritchett. Sorry, I had to get that. It was killing me.
And so I think those two transfers, Notre Dame and Alabama, are going to be great. And I think it's just going to be huge for Raiola. I feel like there were so many times last year that he didn't have a whole bunch of time in the pocket and, maybe tried to, play a little bit of hero ball or try to, make a play by himself.
Mm-hmm.
But if he just had maybe an extra second or two in the pocket, then he's, standing in the pocket, making an accurate throw. We don't have to worry about that. So I think it should be a great group this year. And I'm excited that it's a group that, almost feels like there's maybe a little bit of doubt, then they feel like they have something to prove this year. I just love what Rule said about Gunnar and just how, it's a day-to-day process. And I think that almost, makes those guys that come off injury so much more appreciative of what they have and the gifts they have. And so when they go out and play, they don't take it for granted. So he's going to be giving his all and, no failure. He's not going to be worried about that. He's going to be on that line. He's going to be like, okay, how can I protect my guy? And how can we win a football game? So I'm excited for the offensive line this year.
Yeah, one thing that did surprise me on the off-note subject, like through Big Ten Media Days, through off-season, since Matt Rule's got here, was the importance of like facilities and nutrition, and not just having the shiny new facility that looks nice. Like, is this going to serve my players well in terms of injuries? Like, is this better? Like the turf out there, I don't know if you realize how much they worked on that, but they worked with the University of Nebraska's like they have like a turf section in there. People that specialize in grass, and they brought in like all sorts of turf specialists. So it's real grass, but I mean, it's a very well thought out. And they didn't just go get turf. They're like, okay, which turf how do we want to make this? And then obviously you get new turf in Memorial Stadium. It's getting ripped out for real grass next year. Surprised at all to see Matt Rule really harp on him talk about just the injuries before he got here. He threw out like 46 knee injuries in the past few years when he got there, which is crazy because we know it as fans. Like we kind of think about all the names that we hear. Obviously got guys like Fedoni, who it's like feels like they get healthy and then something happens again. Really, all our tight ends has been a miserable position group in terms of like bad luck with injuries. But were you surprised at all to see Matt Rule just openly confront that, or did you even like think about any of that before he really starts speaking about it?
Yeah, I didn't think about it whatsoever. I think it was just one of those things like, oh, maybe just like we had bad luck. I think that's what it was. And I feel like we've seen a lot of, like you said, tight end, but other offensive line injuries just throughout the years. And it's just like, oh, here it is again. And we'd go into a game with, two backups on the offensive line. And we're like, all right, let's see what we can do. But I didn't think of, the recovery process and, what other challenges that, they could actually go and face and come up with some solutions for. So I think Matt Rule should take a lot of pride in what he did there and just like, all right, I need my guys healthy. I mean,
so what it should be like the number one thing as a coach too.
Yes,
like they're trusting you.
Yeah,
let's make sure I can do what I do to keep these guys healthy. And the only thing I've ever said is like I hate turf.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think about it nearly that hard. And even the practice fields, no, we're gonna make those grass. We're gonna make the field. Like to me, it was like make Memorial Stadium grass.
Yeah.
And I was like, practice facilities, you have to do what you will. And then he took it a step further and he's like, no, we don't. 46 knee injuries is crazy. The ACL tears. And I just really like that because if I was a player, that makes me feel great if my head coach cares that much about the injuries. Because like, and again, that kind of goes back to the Gunnar Tool bit too, of like really just rooting for the guys. And he's finally gets to see him healthy. And then, in his hope in mind, hopefully all this new grass and stuff works. Are you a full believer on get rid of turf, or do you think some turf's okay?
I think get rid of it. I think we've seen a lot in the NFL, just with injuries, on turf compared to actual grass. And I think a lot of the players feel the same way. They're like, we're playing on this turf, or, even in a few other games, they've brought in different kinds of grass that hasn't really been tested. Guys have been slipping all over the place. And I think if we can find the best grass possible, let's go with that. I don't care about the turf, and a school like Nebraska, they're going to be able to put up with the real grass every single weekend. They'll make sure that it's ready for Saturday. So I think turf looks nice if you can't keep the grass together. Nebraska can keep the grass together. It's going to look great. So I think you go with grass and just minimize the injuries, because your best ability is your availability. So if you're continuously having guys hurt, then it makes it tough to, win football games or put together a plan. But if your guys are healthy, you can go into each week like, we got our guys, let's go scheme it up.
Yeah, it's like if you can have real grass, it's a luxury, but you're a very greedy person if you deny that luxury and you have the capabilities to give it. Now, if you're a different school, say Georgia Southern, I'm not going to blame you guys if you can't afford the. I'm not going to be like, wow, they're 80, they're coach just like does not care about them. Like obviously in a world where you got a tighter budget, but a place like Nebraska, it's like if you can afford it, I think it's a massive disservice not to do it. And I'm always surprised by teams not like, even in the NFL, you'll see Man City and Manchester United is going to do just a what do you call it? A non-regular season, a friendly. Thank you. They're just going to do a friendly. They're going to have it over here in the US and one of the NFL stadiums. It's like if the NFL stadium has turf, they will come in, put real grass in, they will play the game, and they'll take the grass out and put back on the turf.
Yeah.
Like that is the most backwards thinking I've ever seen. And they only do it because the Premier League will not play unless it's real grass.
Yeah.
And to me, that's always kind of telling. Like if that's the only thing they'll play on, get it. It's a little bit different. The ball's going to roll differently and all that. But all those fields they play on, they're not all the same grass. It's not all perfectly regulated. There's there's little bits of differences in there. The big thing for them is just the obvious health and safety.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, yes, the ball and the way it moves on there is important. It's a lot different on turf, but also they want to protect their assets. If you got Lionel Messi out there playing in the U.S. and he's playing on turf and he gets hurt, you're going to be pretty upset.
Yeah.
At whatever, NFL stadium arena he was playing at. With that being said, though, we are over the clock. We got plenty more clips. We only got to the one, but we got plenty more for Matt Rule's press conference today. So don't go anywhere. Arens Tristan Gomes talking a lot of Husker football. Talk to you guys on the other side.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Bros Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you Go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Ticket Weeknights. Arens Tristan Gomes. Talking a lot of Husker football here. You guys can always join in. 402-464-5685. That is the Starter Heyman text line. And you put a face to the voice using any of these streams. First things first, we're going to talk about the tight end room right now because there's a lot of interesting faces in that tight end room. And if I missed it, Mark Way, healthy now. Matt Riddle is quoted saying dude's running over 21 miles an hour and 250 pounds. Like that's
crazy.
If any of that's true, that's a terrifying man coming your way. That being said, I'll just ask you before we get into these audio quotes, like who is tight end 1, who's tight end 2, and who's tight end 3? Just right now, if you had to take a swing.
I'm going to have to go with Lindenmeyer as just the number 1.
Yeah, veteran in the group.
Exactly. Like you said, veteran in the group. A guy that after that Boston College game, which he had a lot of production, which was fun to see. I think he's a guy that really understands the offense, understands his role. And I feel like you said with Satterfield, continuing to, just work on these tight ends, I think that's going to be a way bigger part of the offense. And it's almost something that Nebraska's been missing for a little bit. So I think Lindenmeyer is ready as a veteran to take over that role. And then it's tough because, like you said, a 250 pound man running at you at 21 miles an hour and Mark Way is tough to guard. I mean, like he's a mismatch nightmare if he's able to catch passes and have, a good route arsenal. So I think
what safety is going to take him down?
Exactly.
If he makes it that far, that's a missed tackle.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, like a wrap up and drag you for 5 yards.
Exactly. So I'm excited to see that. So I'm going to put him at 2. But then with Heinrich Harburg, I've heard nothing but good things about him switching to tight end and how he's been all in, how he's worked on, the more physical aspect of the pass, of like the blocking, the run blocking, making sure you get your assignment done. But he's a freak athlete. We've seen him dunk in the dunk contest at PBA. So that's not what we're worried about. And so it's just, you have 3 guys, I think, that can make a huge impact. And so I want to say maybe there's, a tight end 1, 2, 3, but I'm curious if there's just different packages, different things that they're just like, this is the guy that's best for this fit in this scheme. But I'm going to have to go with Lindenmeyer just as the number 1 with his, veteran mindset.
Yeah, I'm not too far. I think, Lindenmeyer 1, and then I'll go Harburg 2, just I'm not sure about Markway. I'll put Markway 3, but it very well might just be packages.
Yeah.
And the thing about Dana Holgorsen, though, he's like, he doesn't ever try to get super cute with it. You hear the air raid offense. We ended up running the ball a lot more. The offense wasn't that crazy. It wasn't, the Scott Frost. Everyone's motioning around to the point where we're getting penalties all the time because we're having illegal motions in the backfield, which that stuff's all great and cute. But if you're going to take that many penalties, you got to simplify it. It is pretty simple. I'm sure he'll have some packages, but I'll just go 1, 2, 1 Lindenmeyer, 2 Harburg, and then 3 Markway. But I could easily see that stuff shifting. Let's hear about Coach Rule on Heinrich Harburg first. Again, breaking down that tight end room.
Yeah, I think Heinrich's, as I said, he's one of the best athletes you'll ever see in terms of, height, weight, speed. The challenge is the thought has never really been, hey, can he handle like the catching, the getting open, all that stuff. It's really been more like, just making the transition from a non-contact position to making contact and blocking people and moving people. And he's worked really hard at it. So that's a really deep room. It was great to see Mac Markway out there today. Great to see Carter out there today. So, obviously we're working Carter back in a smart way, kept him out of the special teams period, but because, just to give him a little break. But there'll be Luke's Lindenmeyer is an excellent football player. Ingerson, we think, he's got an unbelievable future. So there's a lot of guys competing. But Heinrich brings some unique qualities to the table, and we'll try to take advantage of his strengths while at the same time also developing that run blocking. And I know he's 100% bought in on it, so he'll do a good job.
Let's throw Mike's back on. So you have it. Yeah, we didn't even mention Carter Nelson.
Yeah,
mainly because coming off the injury, you just want to see him fully healthy. They're going to take the breaks off of him, I imagine, and not really lean on him, especially early in the season. Again, we're 30 days in the middle of fall camp right now, and I think the official college football countdown is. Are we under 30?
I think we're right at.
Well, I guess you necessarily probably couldn't be. It's probably like right over 30.
Yeah,
with
just a
fall camp
little over. Yeah.
But nonetheless, right around the corner. So I'm not going to put Carter Nelson, but he's like another guy. Just to add to the depth of what seems to be like one of the most loaded tight end rooms we've had in a while. And then he talks about Heinrich Harburg in his ability. And the thing that caught me at the air, then he always kind of goes back to those unique abilities. Do you take that as trick plays? Do you take that as he just has certain athleticism that the other guys don't? How do you take that phrase?
I take that as just, the athleticism, but also we have to remember, like, he was a quarterback. So, some trick plays, something crazy could, be in the mix. And I definitely think that maybe not week one, but I think throughout the season, we might see some of that out of Heinrich, and which would be so cool. I think everyone loves their trick plays, especially when they work. They're, crushing when they don't. But I think having a guy like that's almost just like a Swiss Army knife where, like, even think about it is, he could be, in the backfield getting the ball on a pitch or something like that and having the ability to run after. So
he's done a pretty good job at that too. Even games where you see Heinrich Harburg lined up in shotgun at the goal line, he's probably not going to throw it. No. We had a few of those last year where I'm blanking on who it was. It might have even been Wisconsin, but took it, just ran to the sideline and ran a couple people over.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a threat at the quarterback when you don't have to hand it off. There's no time. It's just snap, go, and try to get in front of him and not let him fall forward.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a trick play, but it's pretty simple. And it does. And he can throw it. So you can't just totally, you have to have some sort of respect. Although more than likely he's going to take off and run. He still played that quarterback position, like you said.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind him almost in like a Taysom Hill kind of role, with Drew Brees at quarterback, where maybe we do want to run, or we do want to have more of the opportunity for, the quarterback to make a read. Because, I think the whole state of Nebraska doesn't want Dylan Raiola taking a whole bunch of, big hits. But
that's Florida Tim Tebow role before he took over, right?
Yeah.
He'd come in, goal line.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow's going to run the ball down your throat.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it puts a little bit of pressure on defenses. So you have him in the tight end room, but he also can be put in the backfield. We might see him in a few different roles. And so, I don't think you take that athleticism for granted. If you have a guy like that in your locker room that, has proved that he's working hard to do what's best for the team, you got to give him his opportunities.
He switched position like 3 times.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I'd hope you give him a shot.
He wants to be a Husker, and I think those are the guys that you make sure that, they bring value to the team. And if he's still here and hasn't left, because he probably could have gone elsewhere. If he hasn't left, he's here for the long haul and he wants to win football games in Nebraska.
Yeah, and the easiest things about those guys, it's like when you get the Harburgs out there, like they will figure out a way to add the value.
Yeah.
Even if it's the most unrewarding way. Like, if you got a guy that's just like loyal Husker, can go, stays, can go, stays, can go, stays. Like, that's a pretty loyal guy.
Yeah.
And he's already willing to do a lot that maybe doesn't give him the best spotlight. Again, changing positions, constantly trusting the coaches. Like, it's a guy that maybe you feel like you're sacrificing to reward him, even though a guy with his athleticism, really, that's what you can find ways to get him out. But even a guy that would be less athletic than Harburg, when you find those players, like just the willingness that they have, if they're a 3-star, they're going to find a way to be that 4-star. And if they're a 4-star, they're going to be a way to be that 5-star. Ironically, the more, likely it is that you're 5-star, the less likely it is you're going to work super hard. But Harburg certainly is one of those guys who's proven it over and over again. So he's going to get some opportunities. The question is just figuring out what do those look like for him, because Dylan Raiola is going to be the quarterback. There's no question there. Harburg tight end position. Is it going to be goal line stance? Is it going to be, midfield consistent as that tight end too? Or is he so good that he eventually starts pulling into that tight end 1 spot? Let's hear from some other tight end. Well, not from tight ends. Hear Matt Rule on some other tight ends though. Here's Matt Rule. Again, we talked about it. Markway healthy again. Here's Matt Rule.
Well, he's a big, explosive, powerful man. Most importantly, he can move the line of scrimmage. he's got great hands. He can get open. I mean, he's running over 21 miles an hour. At 200, whatever he is, 260 pounds, 250. I don't know what they list him at, but he's a big man. So I think he's another guy coming off a knee injury, a second knee injury, and so we're always trying to be careful of those guys early on. But at the end of practice, he walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, 365 days." I mean, I know how grateful he was to be out there after everything that we went through last year or so. But he's got a ton of talent and brings a lot.
So yeah, but that was that infamous. I said 21 runs over 21 miles an hour, 250, 260 between there. Sounds like just an absolute monster. And then again, you hear Matt. What does Matt Rule have on record? 2 knee injuries. Like he just has all that stuff in the back of his head. How many people were talking about Mac Markway and how many people knew that he had 2 knee injuries? The diehards knew. Your casual fans probably had no idea who Markway even was. And then you have Matt Rule, like, yeah, I'm glad to see him back. Came back from 2 brutal knee injuries, and now he's out there running over 21 miles an hour at 250. So shout out to him. Sounds like the injuries went pretty well. You know, obviously not great, but the rehab, I should say, went pretty well. How does he fit into the mix now? Because now, again, you hear that stuff. Mac Markway. Yeah, I had flipped him reverse there. Carter Nelson, who we can kind of put on the burner. Heinrich Harburg, Luke Lindenmeyer. That sounds like a 3-headed monster right there.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get Carter Nelson back, does that have the possibility of being the best position group on the field?
I think so. Well,
on the offensive side of the ball, I should say.
Yeah. Here's what's so tough about it is Luke Lindenmeyer said it himself is like, this is one of the best like position rooms like he's seen. Like it's an unbelievable position room. But now it just goes like, how do they use it? You have all these great athletes. You have all these guys that are doing all these great things. And you have the veterans, and you have the fast guys. You have the strong guys. You have all these guys that make great tight ends. But if they're not used, kind of, like how we've not seen a whole bunch of tight end play in the past few years. If they're not used to be great and live up to their potential, then you can't say that. But if they really use their tight ends, which it's so great when you see a team just, use their tight end, or out of nowhere, you're like, oh, mismatch nightmare. And they just dominate that all game. Like, oh, this safety has no chance guarding this 6'5", 260-pound behemoth that's just as fast as him. So if they can use that room to their strength, and we see it more often, and give Raiola another, weapon, then 100% I think this can be the best, position group on the team.
Yeah, the key is utilizing it. I mean, anybody who's drafted Pitts in fantasy football knows that all too well.
Yeah.
It's like, it drives me nuts. It's like, can we find a way to utilize this guy?
Yeah.
I think Dana Holgerson will be good with that. I'm always surprised, even like last year, when you have a true freshman quarterback, those are the easiest routes. And like, I played high school and tight end. I know it's a much different level, but those are pretty nice, easy. Like, usually if you're at that position at tight end, like, you're making dead eye contact a lot of times, unless you're, occasionally you're going to be running a deep route, but most often it's like right across the middle. You're flat. You're looking him dead in the eyes, and it's like, hey, can you throw it 10 yards?
Yeah.
On a simple drag, or I'm literally going to sit between the linebackers, make easy target and a good bailout. And last year, especially in the middle of the year, you saw Dylan Raiola struggling. It was like, man, you got to dial up some easy passes for him and get his confidence back. And, you could argue he did throw it right into the hands of UCLA. I think on one of those tight ends where he's supposed to just like sit there, or I think it was a drag coming across. So maybe, I'm complaining a little bit too much there. But to me, it seems like quarterbacks that thrive with the tight end just always have much more consistent games.
Yeah.
Because you see it with Mahomes all the time. You go to Kelsey when things are tough, and you just kind of have that relationship with him. I mean, there's plenty of great NFL tight ends right now. Kittle, I'm blanking on a bunch of ones. Even people really got on.
I mean, you have
tight ends. Mark,
you have Freiermuth, you have Bowers.
Think of Baltimore Ravens. Mark
Andrews.
Thank you, Mark Andrews. I know people got on him, but you see those connections all the time.
Yeah,
and where it's absolutely vital to have a tight end there. And if you can build that tight end quarterback relationship, and that's where it gets tough. Do you want to be rotating tight ends 1, 2, and 3 if they're all really good, or do you want him to be super comfortable with Lindenmeyer as his main passing target?
100%.
So that's going to be the challenge, I think, for Satterfield. But like I said, Satterfield is more than experienced enough to go ahead and coach just that one position group. So we'll throw it to break here. On the other side, we'll talk about some projections on what we may think is going to happen in this upcoming season and maybe even at the end of the season. So don't go anywhere. Arens Tristan Gomes, talk to you guys in just a little bit.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Rose Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully, you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, here's Arens taking back over with Tristan Gomes here on Ticket Weeknights. We got one more final live segment. We still got Rose on the airwaves, then plenty of Ticket. Best of the Ticket will be up next. So use the Ticket app. In the meantime, while the rolls are still going, wrapping things up here. Obviously, fall camp, it's here, 30 days. Did you play football growing up, by the way?
I did, yeah. I played football, quarterback in high school, and then went and played baseball in college.
Oh, okay. Did you want to play baseball or football?
I actually enjoyed football more, and I think I might have been a little better at football, but had quite a few concussions. My parents did not want me to play in college.
Oh, you were racking up the concussions?
Yeah.
That's brutal. Was there one really bad one, if you don't mind me asking, that we were like...
Yeah, we actually played, I went to Millard West, and we played Burke in the semifinals my junior year, and Chris Hickman, who ended up coming to Nebraska, came off the end. We run in a speed option, and I just, I pitch it, and I just think I'm good. And he was coming at me 100%, no laying off the brakes. And I look and kind of just stand there for a second, just get blown up and hit the ground. There's snow on the ground. I just laid there for a little bit. And then I had a QB sneak to run it in the next play. So it worked out. But after the lights got real bright.
Those are terrible, especially when I've never played quarterback and never had to deal with it. But I played defensive end. And I always remember, if he pitches it, you're still taking the quarterback. That's your guy. Obviously, if it's super late, don't be an idiot. But if it's right at the pitch, you're still taking him out.
Yeah, Luke Reimer also at Nebraska. We played Lincoln North Star, and I think he, not a concussion, but hit me just in the body, just perfect form tackle, drove me to the ground, and that was the worst hit I've ever taken. And so it's cool when I got to see these guys playing at Nebraska. I was all right, I didn't just get hit by a no name. These guys, these guys did something. But yeah, those were probably the two most painful ones.
That's brutal. I think I maybe have one concussion. Shout out to Chase Kelly. He didn't play NFL or college anywhere, but I think, C2. So my class alone, we were a big class. We had 40. Our football team was always pretty well sized. I think 70 some kids, which may sound super small to some, but C2 Nebraska, if you're familiar with it. But so when that happens, you're going to have some freshmen, but you need to practice live reps, but you don't have enough defensive linemen. So me at I was probably $130, $140 at the time, puts me on the defensive line, and I'll just never Chase Kelly. I probably was knocked out, and I already remember. I just remember the snap, and then you just look up, and I was I knew right then and there. I was not built for football. I can play in these high school days, but if I can't take this right now, there's no way in hell I'd ever go D1. D2 guys would give me a tough day. I'm always curious about that. Any worst fall camp memories? Because for me, fall camp was always 2 days, right?
Yeah.
And then in the morning, they tell you, we're going to do our conditioning, get it out of the way. And then you come back later and you do more conditioning. It was always a white lie.
Exactly. Yeah. It was always a lie. And I think the worst part was just the uncertainty
of the
conditioning.
That's the worst part.
This is that you would be running and you'd be all right, we got to only have one more or two more. And you then you do 3 more and you're all right, we got to be done soon. And then you're oh, well, I'm about to pass out. But what nice thing, probably same for you, is the offensive linemen, kind of the bigger dudes. I just almost felt so bad for.
They help you out.
Yeah, they help us out because when there's 5 of them just laying on the ground, you're all right, we can't keep running. Look at them. So they did help us out, but I felt so bad. And I was but if they were still running, I was all right, I have to still be going.
See, we had we did the snake where every hash on the football field, and you just got to do that a few times and go all the way around, and every now and then the offensive line would be going, except the punishment was we'd have to go back and run behind them to ensure. So you do extra work, and that was their way of making the linemen do really, really push themselves, because if they get the whole team behind them at that point, you start to not a great feeling. So the coaches were smart on how they got that conditioning across. But I just always love hearing 2-a-day stories. Because for how brutal everyone hated it, it's a lot of people's favorite memories.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think it's just you're hanging out with your boys, and so you think of how bad it was, but you're oh, I guess we were all kind of in it together. We were all struggling and miserable together.
It's crazy what miserable things done to a group can do to unify them.
100%. Yeah.
Even though it's all willingly done. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's I signed up for football practice, but yeah, that'll do that. Especially for these guys. By the way, can you imagine starting 2-a-days? in a 48-hour period heat warning.
Yeah. I mean, like every time I check the weather app, it says excessive heat warning. I'm like, wow, like I don't want to go outside. And then you think of these guys and they're like, well, yeah, they're,
Day 102 degrees.
Exactly.
With the corn sweat humidity that's going on.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, if you're Matt Rule and company, you probably love it.
Yeah.
Because that's going to condition those guys really, really fast. At the same time, it might make things problematic because you can't get through as much because they are still human.
Yeah, they are still human. They're not Superman and can just, run forever, And that, I think that was the toughest part is like at the beginning of practice, it was to get, the blood flowing and, get moving. But then you'd get done with it and you're like, I want to go lay down. Like, I'm done.
Exactly.
And then it's like, all right, now let's get into actual practice. Then end of practice comes, we run some more. But yeah, I mean, these guys are definitely going to be in great shape. So hopefully we're not seeing any, cramps or any fatigue this season.
Yeah. I know I probably went too long on that. I always just get caught off guard with fall football camp stories. And also wasn't aware that you played quarterback in high school as well. We got time for maybe one of these, maybe a couple. We'll do this. Who leads the team in rushing yards?
I think you have to go with Emmett. I mean, I think that's just the easy answer. And especially after last year and him solidifying himself as the guy, we're going to see even more of that this year.
Okay. Rushing touchdowns?
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I think it's Emmett Johnson. Emmett Johnson clear as day. Does he break over 1,000 yards rushing?
I can see it because I think they're really going to start, developing him as the number one. I think last year there were a few other guys with Dowdle, and so he wasn't like always the guy. But I think right now they know that they can trust him, so they're going to give him the rock as much as they can.
Right there with you. I was reading this article on Sports Illustrated as well, and why I think it was pretty clear. Touchdowns rushing, well, as long as he's healthy, right? We're assuming health. At the end of the year, so when Dana Holgorsen took over, Johnson had 52.5% of his entire rushing yards production in the final 30% of the season.
Wow.
So as soon as Dana took over, about 50%, 54% of his production came forward. And like he's going to get the touches as long as Dana's in control and he's healthy. And unless he's being a Yahoo over the summer, which I don't think he is, never heard anything bad said by the coaches. Sounds like he's putting in the work. But that's a guy who we might finally have our bell cow.
Yeah.
Are you a running back by committee bell cow, or does it not matter to you? Is there a preference?
I don't have a preference. No, I'm a fan of it. And I, like you just said, with Holgorsen, I'm excited for him and Raiola because I think having, this whole offseason to work and giving both those guys the opportunity to just like make it almost their offense, their position, we're going to see a lot more success out of both of them.
I think so as well. I'm a bell cow kind of running back type, mainly just because I'm a big rhythm person.
Yeah.
I like, to me, that was my whole problem last year. It was like Dowdle, Emmett.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong on that, but it always feels like running backs do well when they're certain or have some certainty on their role.
Yeah. I like seeing a guy that just like builds some momentum, or you have a drive where it's just the same running back just bullying his way down the field. That's always so fun to watch. But I feel like last year it was like, oh, here's 2 plays for you. Here's 2 plays for you. I feel like with Emmett, if we just give him the rock this year and let him just do what he does, he could have a big year.
Oh, it certainly worked at the end of last year. So I'd imagine they're going to go with more of the same. We can break more of these down tomorrow, but that's going to do it for us. Appreciate you guys listening. That's Tristan Gomes. I'm Harrison Arens. I'll play Best of the Ticket replay for you on the next hour. Use the Ticket app as we still got Royals going on the airwaves. I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow night.